Unit 9. The Driving Force. IELTS Test Practice. Section 2. You will hear an extract from a talk about cars. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Today, many people own a car, and cars have become a common sight around the world. But how did all this come about? In our report today, Jeremy Pemberton gives us a brief history of the motor car.
Well, the first thing you should know is that no single individual was responsible for the invention of the car, or automobile as we call it in the States. The important thing to remember is that the car developed slowly over time, as hundreds of people sought to produce a motorized vehicle. This means that it's hard to say exactly when the car originated. The name automobile dates back to a drawing of a carriage mounted on 4 wheels that was designed by a 14th century Italian painter named Martini. The name that he gave it, automobile, is half Greek, auto meaning self, and half Latin, mobile meaning moving. Car, on the other hand, comes from a Latin word, carus, meaning cart or wagon. Add to that all the French words associated with cars, such as chauffeur, chassis, and garage, and you can start to see how complex the history is. It's believed that the first electric-powered road vehicle was built in about 1839 in Scotland by a man called Robert Anderson. The concept of an electrical engine that could start immediately and run quietly was very attractive at that time, as indeed it is now. The first designs were not very successful, though. Later, there were some improvements to these, and this led to the appearance of electric taxis on the streets of London in the late 1800s. But they too didn't last long, because electric batteries were still heavy, unreliable, and needed recharging after a short run. It's odd to think that we're just going back to solving some of these problems now. The first real automobiles were very much like motorized versions of horse-drawn vehicles, and were referred to as horseless carriages. However, there is a much stronger link between cars and bicycles. Many pioneers in the car world were people who were experienced in manufacturing bicycles. In fact, the best place to buy a really fine car in the early 1900s was at the local bicycle shop.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.